Hey y'all, welcome to Cocktail Hour. This is your midweek episode. I am Meg.
And I'm Nikki, and today I am going to be reading some amazing threads that we found, which are more of hot takes from some wedding vendors that I'm going to share with Meg and get her opinion on.
Love. I love these moments where one of us doesn't read what we're going to be talking about so we can actually say what we really think. We can't formulate ahead of time.
So these are from at David Weflin. I think that's how you say your name. Dunno, don't come for me. On threads again. So if you guys are looking for these, you can find them on threads. First one, he just says, I want to hear some wedding hot takes from other people in the industry. And he says, I'll start. Rehearsal dinner coverage is greater than engagement sessions anytime and every time.
100%.
I agree.
Engagement sessions are really tough to the point where I even took them out of my packages. And I don't mean tough because they're hard to shoot, but it's like people nowadays love more candid and documentary and real moments. And when a photographer and two people are together, it's like, well, I'm going to probably pose you a lot of this time because we're not actually doing activities. We're just here to take nice pictures. And it can feel a little less genuine than how your wedding day might feel. And I don't know. Rehearsal dinners are so much fucking fun.
I agree.
It's the first time everyone's probably seen each other.
Yep.
And Nikki and I are heading down to Texas in August 31st?
April.
April
30th.
Haley, if you're listening to this, don't worry, we will be there. But we're heading down to Texas, and the rehearsal dinner is like a chic Western theme.
I need to get some cowboy boots.
I'll have to wear my Cowboy Carter outfit. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah, cowboy boots, cowboy hat. But super fun. Like make it a theme, or
I
like
love it.
have everyone dressed to the nines. And a lot of times, and I don't know if this is one of them, but I just saw this the other day where someone said, do your speeches at rehearsal dinner.
I love that idea.
Get them done. But then also have someone there to photograph it. And maybe like if you are hiring a videographer, see if you can add an hour or two of videographer coverage to the rehearsal dinner. But speeches during the wedding day, it's totally fine. But I do like the idea of rehearsal dinner more. I just feel like it's a little bit more intimate. You're not trying to get 200 people to shut up and they're walking up and down to the bar and they're doing all of this. I don't know.
This is from Will DeGraw on Threads. If your toast is longer than 2 minutes, literally, the whole place better be laughing or crying, literally. If they aren't, you're finished.
Yeah.
Seriously, not kidding. We're not there for the inside jokes. So
Wrap
that
it up.
goes right into the speeches thing that like you can have those kind of longer speeches at rehearsal and maybe ask like multiple friends and not because, it is special to have a couple of speeches at your actual wedding and whatever, especially if they are kept on the shorter sentimental side or the, light side of things. But your rehearsal dinner is such a great time to have like longer form speeches, in my opinion, of like multiple friends being able to share, just like kind of open micing it, but maybe giving people a heads up beforehand and saying like, hey, we're having an open mic. I'd love it if you could say a few words, like nothing long, but
yeah,
what a great opportunity to have all of your bridesmaids and groomsmen or all of your wedding party who's coming together for the first time, like you said, being able to see each other, enjoy that time and, feel a little bit better and a little bit more loosened up about the wedding day too.
Agreed. It's a good kickoff for everything.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. Let's see. Venues need to stop putting wedding photos of other couples on their walls to decorate. Nothing worse than photographing a mom zipping up her daughter with 4 other couples smooching and staring in the background.
That's so, yeah, I cannot imagine. I think I would take it down or I would Photoshop it out.
I think they would be taken down for sure.
Yeah, that would irritate the fuck out of me. And also, it's always the photographs that are like from 2010, 2012, where I'm like, why are these photographs up here? These aren't even good. These aren't relevant wedding photos anymore in terms of like a stylistic approach. If you have some like gorgeous detail shots and stuff, but also don't put them in places.
I don't think any photos from other weddings should be up unless you have an office or a hallway to an office, or a hallway to a bathroom where you want to showcase what your venue can look like in other settings or views. That is what portfolios are for. That is what, if somebody comes and tours your venue, open up a book and show them. You don't need those pictures on the wall. And quite frankly, if those pictures are on the wall at a venue, it's probably not a venue that I'm going to want to shoot at because I just don't know why those are there. I don't think it's a necessity. I think make it beautiful, make it look like a house, make it look authentic and genuine, not like a staged space where people are coming to get married. Like, make it feel a lot more personable.
Yeah.
And what's the most impersonable thing ever is you getting married and having 4 people behind you on the wall getting married as well. That to me makes no sense.
Are there, just speaking of venues, are there, you don't have to name them. You can just blink once if yes, blink twice if yes.
I haven't really seen any.
No. I was going to say, are there any venues that you refuse to shoot at? Like if you get an inquiry where you're like, nope.
I won't like refuse, but there are some that I'm like, I hate it there. And I will tell the couples, like, I understand this is your venue. However, like the reception space, it's, you know, X, Y, and Z. And I'm just going to tell you this ahead of time. And here are photos to reflect what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that's so your choice. Like, yes, I just want you to know that this is how it photographs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway.
I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Like if someone's trying to offer you buco, you know, dinero.
Yeah.
I'm like, well okay.
Who am I to be freaking, I'm like, sure.
Yeah, like we'll do it up. But like you said, here's a gallery of what that space might shoot like. Just, I do think it's put on photographers a lot that like, okay, well, if I hire this photographer, my gallery is going to look exactly like this gallery that I saw.
No.
I'm like, well, if your venue is different, if your colors are different, if the lighting is different, if the
time of day
is different, like
season,
all of these different things,
the grass could be greener.
Yeah, you really need to hire a photographer where you love all of their work and you are going to love how your gallery turns out, not because of the like, but because it's you. That's what you need to like be happy with first and foremost. Is I'm so excited to see these photographs because it's me, it's my person, it's our family. Like the rest is just kind of the cherry on top.
Yeah, there are people who get really caught up in like the aesthetic and everything and how they look and how they are portrayed. And it's like, you've said this in a previous episode, I can't change how you look. Like that's how you look. So you should, you know, going into that, no, like you should be happy with just the sentiment behind all of your pictures and the emotions that they invoke. And
I've even had a bride, and I don't think this had anything to do with how she looked, just her comfort level. She was like, look, I want my wedding to be a party. I want to take minimal portraits. Okay. She said, literally, get 2 nice photos of my husband and I, and I'm done.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, otherwise she was like, let's party all night long. And I was there till midnight. Like, that's what she wanted. And to each their own. But yeah, if you aren't super comfortable with portraits, if you're like, hey, I just want a nice photo or two, but like, let's not stand here for a half hour, an hour. Okay,
I like that.
We'll literally do whatever you want to do. You just got to tell me.
Okay, hot take from Celeste Taylor photo. I wish venues would stop building ceremony areas with windows in the background because I hate photographing them, especially when they're huge windows.
Yeah, this is tough because some of my favorite venues, this is the situation. And it can shoot very well, and then it can shoot very bad.
Yeah.
It really depends on the time of the day that the ceremony is at. And I know we talked about this before, but Nicole and Adam's wedding at the Whim, their head table was right in front of the big windows, so you could get nice and close and shoot and pop the flash off.
Some of the greatest, creamiest, juiciest pics.
Yeah, love them so much. Like, you're lucky I don't have some of those on my fucking wall.
I know.
And then I could shoot a different ceremony, and because I have to stand really far back, the flash is not doing the job that I would like it to because there's only so much the flash can do. And then it just doesn't look great to be in front of these windows and there's no lights on. And it's just like, it is hard. And again, that kind of harkens back to what we had said before, that your photographer sometimes can only do so much unless you want to make this a big ass production. I'm talking
totally
light standing
everywhere,
from here, which we can do. But then it does start to become a production instead of like a nice intimate, you know, you're quiet, you're shooting, whatever. Nope. Now you have lights popping off and it's just, it gets tough.
Even when I was shooting at the conservatory this past weekend, it's a massive room with windows literally everywhere. Like, so I did tell the couple, hey, depending on how it looks with you guys up there, like I might need to pop my flash on because I'm also there in the sunken garden room in the conservatory. There's no center aisle. You're on the sides or you're like 3 feet in front of the couple. And I was like, depending on where I have to be, like, I don't want to alarm you. I might have to pop on flash just with how things are photographing. Totally fine. But there are photographers who will go, you know, above. I don't even want to say above and beyond, because it really just depends on your style and like what works for you and what is most genuinely you. And for me personally, like you're talking production, I'm thinking of like my experience with my cult churches, and like there are churches that you can go to that you can get a really good experience from, and then there are churches that you go to and you can get an experience from.
Yeah.
A
fucking
concert, light show, fog machines, and it feels to me now, looking back, that is a massive production value that people are putting on for exactly that.
Yeah.
Production. Whereas this is a intimate feeling vibe of a church where I'm getting those like feelings and emotions. And so it goes back to the same thing. Are you wanting a massive production, something that feels produced, or are you wanting something that feels very authentic, genuine, and when you're looking back at it, you're like, yeah, that's how the day was. I remember it that way.
Yeah.
It just really depends.
Agreed. Everybody's got their own thing. And it's not even just photographers, but vendors in general. I just saw a video of a wedding planner team, and like they had like headsets and it was very the wedding planner, you know, Jennifer Lopez. And I did not know that was a thing. I knew that like, yes, that's how it's portrayed in movies, but I then realized like, okay, sometimes with these large luxury weddings where they have a team of like 3 or 4 planners on site, they need to be able to communicate with each other. And then I've even seen videographers or photographers have like walkie-talkies or whatever.
I've seen that.
So I could like, you know, hey, Nikki, can you grab this shot, or can you go over here? So I don't have to like be yelling at you. So I get that. But again, production, and that starts to become more of a thing than like, yeah, I really loved our photographer. Like I've gotten comments before, like you got shots where I didn't even really know you were there.
Right.
Which was kind of the best part, is it was still documented, but it wasn't super invasive. So
yeah.
Not the nicest comment I've ever gotten. The nicest comment I've ever gotten was from a dad who literally looked at me on the dance floor and he was like, "You can dance." And I said, "Thank you." And it was, the dance floor wasn't even popping. We were waiting for people to like circle up.
So funny.
And the DJ was playing Before I Go or Before I Let Go by Beyonce on the Coachella album. If you know, you know. And there's like a little dance that goes along with it. So I was dancing with the DJ. Like we were popping to the song. And then the dad was like, "Okay." And I was like,
he said, "Let me come over here. You got a ring on that finger? Let me slide into these DMs real quick."
No, the dad has a very hot wife and a very hot daughter. It was a good looking fam. But anyways.
Okay. Logan Westham Photography says, "A local wedding that is less than 30 minutes from my house is greater than any destination wedding that requires a full day of travel."
Yeah, and when you're a new photographer, this is not your mindset.
No.
New photographers, we've been there.
Oh, but I love being home.
Yeah, if you're like, all I want to do is get booked for these weddings, it doesn't even have to be like a great location. It can be like, send me down to Montgomery, Alabama at a barn just to travel. And I'm like, look, I love to travel.
I think I said this in our last time that we like tried to kind of cover some of these, but like, there is such a difference of being a photographer in your early 20s and then being a photographer in your 30s. You are a different person. And as somebody, and you too, who didn't start our photography business until we were in our late 20s, it is a completely different mindset for us. And while I do love traveling as well, and I will travel to specific destinations for weddings because I enjoy them and because I'm getting paid to do so now, I will enjoy it, but it gets to a certain point then where I'm like, holy fucking shit, I want to go home. I just
want to be home.
I miss my fucking bed.
Yeah.
Like my bed. I miss my fiance. And more than anything in this life, I miss my fucking dog.
Baxter.
My man. Like I need to be home.
Fuck the podcast. Let's start a band. Yeah. Get a Tamari. Here's what I'll say. Adam gives me a high five when I go, "Oh, I booked a wedding," and he goes, "Where?" And I go, 5 blocks down the street.
Love that.
High five. We're so happy, and we love to travel. We love those couples trusting us to come out there.
Yep.
the part that gets me is the aspect of traveling. It is hard. Again, like you said, 20s is different than 30s. When I'm lugging around my Pelican case, looking
full of gear,
looking at people around me, like, sorry, as I try to get it up there, and sometimes
God.
people are having to
And
help
it's
me.
heavy.
It's so heavy.
It's heavy, and you're worrying about things in there.
Or the gate agent's like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to check that because we're full. And I look at her and I go,
no, I'm not doing that.
I will simply miss the flight because
Literally.
This is not going in the bottom of the plane.
Never.
So it's just, there's a lot. And then you're sitting at TSA because they're wiping every, roll of film that you got, and they're not happy with you. They hate you. They're hoping they find drugs so
honestly,
they can tase you.
The last few times that I've traveled and I've done film, they've been so nice to me. Yeah. And they've been like, cool, what do you do?
You know why? Is I think it's because, like, we're nice. Yeah. I'm not like, ugh, can you please hand check this? My film. Yeah, I'm like, hi.
No, literally,
so
I'm like,
sorry.
hi, can you please, can you hand check my film?
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm so
Here
sorry.
you go.
Like, and it's your job, but I'm
9 out of 10 times they're like,
yeah.
Okay.
What is it? You catch more bees with honey than vinegar or something?
Sure.
Something like that. But yeah, so I always try to be really nice. There are some gate agents though. Again, this is why I don't think I'm meant for just this life or this society. If a gate agent's sassy to me or rude for no fucking reason, I literally look at them and I go, what's wrong with you today? And like, I have no patience.
Are you okay?
Yeah, like, what's going on?
I usually go,
Are you okay? I've never told you this. I was thinking about this this weekend or this week. I was kicked out of a U.S. men's soccer game because I asked someone if they were okay. So I'm at like U.S. versus Mexico Rose Bowl, or I don't know where the fuck I was, but my ex loves soccer, and so we'd go to U.S. games. Okay, I mean,
just kidding. Whatever.
The women are better, but whatever. So we go to a USMNT game. Yeah, that's right. And this lady, this tiny little nugget of a lady, is screaming. And again, I think we were playing Mexico, and she's thrown out like racial, like she was screaming. And there are also children around us. So I look at her, I go, hey, can we kind of like, I know we're at a game, we're having fun, but like, let's just calm it down a little bit. And she pops off on me. So I look at her and I go, are you okay?
That's my favorite thing.
But I took it a little further. I was like up here. Are you okay? Or like, is everything okay up there? This bitch went off. This is before everyone was so woke. Clearly she was more woke than me because she goes, mental health is not a joke. And she flips out. She flips out. She starts crying. Apparently she was in like a psych ward at one point in her life. So this really triggered her. She flipped out. I start screaming, she starts screaming, and then I get kicked out of this game. And I just went and sat on the sidewalk for an hour because I looked at my boyfriend. I was like, just stay. I don't care. I'm like, it's fine. Just stay and watch this fucking game. But I'll never ask someone again. Like, I'll never reference their mental health to be combative because I learned my lesson the hard way.
Holy shit.
I know. It took a turn. This was like back in 2015.
Holy shit. I was getting married in 2015. That's what I was doing, in case anybody was wondering what I was doing 10 years ago.
How long were you guys married?
6 years.
6 years.
Okay, 50 points, 50 PTS says shooting blurry photos on purpose. I feel like my take on this has kind of changed lately.
Ooh. What's
like, I used to be such a, yeah, that was it. It was just like,
and then just say like ... Or that's his
no period.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's his hot take. I feel like I used to be such a proponent for taking blurry photos and like, I love an artsy blurry photo. Now I don't have the time. I'm like, if I think of it and I can get some motion blur for specific shots of like walking or running or stuff, cool.
Yeah.
I don't have, my brain doesn't work that way anymore where it's like, I think of so many other different poses now. I think that's what happens is like, I can think of so many different areas that I want to shoot or do this and that like the blurry shots that once were like so alluring to me, that seemed so like artsy and cool. Now I'm like, I love the look of it. If somebody else is posting it, fuck yeah, I'm for you. Like, whatever.
But in the moment to be like, okay, 1/25.
No, I'm like, okay, let me change my settings really quick.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
I can't do it.
I even have told second photographers, I'm like, please don't waste your time getting blurry photos and changing your settings.
Unless I'm asking.
I'll do it later. I'll do it in post-production. I can do it in Photoshop. So please don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Let's just keep rocking and rolling. Because I do like a blurry shot. One of my favorite shots ever is Bentley and Drew's wedding. They're like running through the wooded area. It's very much giving like Twilight, whatever.
Love.
And I love it. But I did a lot of that in post-production because I just don't have the time.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron.Hannum says people need to be done with the jaundice editing, meaning like changing. Here's the thing. You can have a preset, whatever, but if you're changing the skin tone of how people look,
yeah,
I do take up issue with that.
Yeah. The jaundice one I see a lot less of now, but what I do see is like a gray.
Like a green gray.
And I'm
like I'm Shrek.
I'm like, I don't love it. And I think it's just because the images are so cool that it's changing that a little bit. And what's hard is the fix for it is to do a subject mask and, you know, raise that temp. But to do that for every photo. And now, granted, you can copy paste the mask, but it's going to look different in different scenarios.
Different lighting.
It is absolutely going to increase the work on the back end for sure. Or find a preset that doesn't do that. Or really alter your preset and get in the tone curve and Lightroom, there's so much of it. It's like our brain, right? We only use whatever percentage of our brain. I feel like with Lightroom, a lot of people are not using it to its full, you know, benefit because they don't know. And there are still things in Lightroom I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. But if you want to change something in your photo, get on YouTube University, start Googling the shit out of it.
Agreed.
Because someone has run across it before. Someone will tell you how to fix it. But it's going to take a lot of work. And doing the slap a preset and then someone's skin tone looks gray, I'm like, you're better than that.
Yep, agreed. Venues or caterers that refuse to feed photographers and vendors before, like, or at the same time or before everybody else. This one says venues should feed photo and video team when guests are eating during the reception, not after. And I know we've run into that with.
Were you with me at that venue when that happened? Yes. Do you feel like I was out of line for how I spoke to that person?
No, that person was so rude.
They were so rude.
And truthfully, I agree with this wholeheartedly. I think I actually have it in my contract. However, a lot of venues, because I've been to another venue where they're like, well, it doesn't matter if it's in your contract. It's in our contract because your contract is with the couple. Our contract is like with for the venue and with catering for this couple, but it's not couple specific. It's for everybody. And I'm like, I don't want to argue. Actually, I ended up just door dashing Chick-fil-A once at one of these venues that I previously worked. Beautiful venue, by the way. Refused to feed us until everybody was fed, and then speeches were going to start. I door dashed Chick-fil-A for me and my second, and we just ate, and it was perfect. And I was like, I'm not arguing with you anymore. I'm done talking about it.
Yeah. And I feel like from a from a venue perspective, this is what I am assuming that they're thinking. Either number one, guests are going to see vendors eating first and they're going to be pissed. Or number two, we don't know if we're going to have enough food.
Which is crazy.
So both of these, not a good enough reason.
Nope.
The vendors can go eat somewhere else. You need to make sure you have enough food. If either of those are the reason. If they're not, I then don't give a fuck what your reason is because it's dumb. But I'm just sitting there. We were at a wedding and same thing. Dinner's happening and then speeches happen when the last plate drops. So if your vendors are not eating when your guests are kind of like the first tables are getting their food, we will not be able to eat before speeches. We have to be ready for speeches, whatever. So the venue coordinator, and this is why you need someone else besides a venue coordinator. The venue coordinator walks by or someone from catering. I was like, hey, we're all away from the guests. We're literally in a different space of the venue.
A different
building of the venue. And I'm just going, you know, I know plates have started to drop for the guests. Are we able to get our vendor meals? And she goes, you eat when the guests are done eating or when every guest has been served.
She was so rude.
She was so rude. And if you know anything about me, I will match your energy. In no way, shape, or form is someone rude to me and they do not receive rudeness back. It is not something I'm proud of, but it is something that is just the case. I don't care if the Pope is rude to me. I will be rude to him back. So I look at her and I go, okay, well, we will not be up to capture speeches until we eat. So if you would like to tell the couple why their speeches are not on video and not on camera, that's totally fine. You let me know. We'll hang tight here. Like I was just like, I'm not moving until we're fed. And at that point, it's not about the food. It's not like I'm so fucking hungry that I absolutely need to eat. But it was the principle of like, you are being rude to me. You know that I'm not going to have time to eat because speeches start immediately after dinner or the last plate. You know this, and you're still doing this and being rude to me about it. So I'm going to stand my ground on this. And we were fed very shortly thereafter.
Very shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's most of these ones that I have today. Do you have any that you want to add?
Any like hot, I do have a question. I was talking to someone else about this, about second shooters. About, I'm getting quotes from second photographers, and they're going up, which is fine. That's normal, right?
Okay.
That is what it is. But I'm wondering what people are charging their couples for their second photographers.
Okay.
So for instance, if I charge a couple $1,000, let's make it a nice number, $1,000, and then I have a photographer who's charging me $100 per hour for a 10-hour day, right? So that's a wash, right? Couple paid the entire amount. Not to sound selfish, but because I have that second photographer, I am now adding on hours of not only culling their thousands of photos, but editing their, well, let's say hundreds of photos that I pick from a second photographer. And I go, okay, so let's say I'm adding on 6 hours of work for myself and I have made $0. So I'm just wondering, with the amount that second photographers are charging, let's say it's anywhere from like $60 to $100. I am curious, what are people charging? I want to like hear in the comments from you guys, or do whatever you want, DM us. But what are we charging for a second person? Because really, that is a luxury to have, not just me, not just one body shooting a day, but a whole ass second person that we can spread the wealth on, get different, vantage points, different focal lengths, all this different stuff. But are we compensating ourselves for the work that we're doing?
Probably not enough.
Probably, or not at all. But then I also go, what's too much? Like if a couple looks at it and goes, well, let's say Meg's wedding package is, $8,000 and it costs another $2,000 or $3,000 for a second photographer, that, like, I don't know. To me, I'd be like, oh shit, that's a lot. But maybe it's not. Maybe it depends on the market.
To me, 2,000 for a second photographer sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot, right? But if you pay them $1,000, then you're getting $1,000. And by the way, you're paying taxes on that $1,000. So you're really making $700 for an extra 6 hours of work, let's say. When you do the math, it doesn't sound like a lot. Like when you really break it down, you're like, oh, that's a lot. 6 hours of work is, let's say, I don't know, $3,600 or $4,000 or something like that when you build it out a la carte. And I just go, okay, I made $700 instead of $4,000. I don't know. It's hard. I'm just curious what everybody else is running into, because let me also say, this is not about saying second photographers are making too much money. That is not at all where this is going. It is a hard job, and it is work. But I just wonder, like, how are we offsetting that cost? Are we, or are we just eating it and being like, you know what? It is what it is. It is nice in the gallery to have those images.
I agree. I find value in a second photographer a lot of the time. I think that I tell couples I can do everything on my own. However, here are the things that you would be benefiting from having a second photographer. Like you can get X, Y, and Z. And one thing that I had offered and have offered is like a partial coverage second photographer.
Yes.
And doing like ceremony through speeches photographer. And I've kind of loved having that because it's a little bit less work for me.
Yeah.
I don't need all of the photos from. Okay, because one thing that I've run into with second photographers a lot of the time is that I find that second photographers, not all of them, I've had wonderful ones, but I have worked with some who shoot a wedding day as a second photographer, but from a lead photographer perspective. And that's not what I'm hiring somebody for. I'm hiring somebody to get the shots that I cannot or am not getting.
Yeah.
And that's what I find value in, is like when I can have somebody, so that's what I'm saying. I don't need somebody there to double up my getting ready photos, to double up the first look. Like I can conquer all of that on my own. I can get through that as a lead photographer with that vantage point. However, when it comes to ceremony, those are moments that you cannot recreate. That is a time on your wedding day that is once in a lifetime. It's not going to come again. You can't fake it. You can't recreate it. So I would love to have a second photographer, not only for peace of mind, but also for those different vantage points, like you said. I'm at the front getting getting the bride walking down arm in arm with dad. I can have a second in the back getting the back of the dress flowing down with the veil and everything. Like, there are things where I do find that to be valuable, but if I'm having a second photographer there all day, I don't need doubled up shots on the dance floor. I don't need all that because I don't want, 800 photos of Uncle Larry just drunk off his ass doing the worm 17 times. And you're trying to capture it because you want this for your portfolio. That's not what I have you here for.
And also, for me, when I'm going through a second's cards, there's nothing worse than maybe pulling 100 photos from a 10-hour day that I will use, and you've paid them $600 to $1,000 for 100 photos because a lot of them are, like you said, the exact same thing that I shot. So it's like, get away from me. And it has been a hard decision of mine moving into this season of people that I love, but I'm like, if consistently someone has second shot for me and I like look at those cards and I just go, okay, like it's very clear you're shooting for you. Or let's say the couple is not a super like editorial artsy couple, and then someone's constantly trying to put them in, like I'll look at them and be like, oh, do you have like a prompt you want to try or whatever, and like they're putting them in like uncomfortable positions and stuff. I go, okay, this is not the vibe. And I just sit there and I go, okay, maybe I'm not going to work with those people as much just because it doesn't, the vibe, nothing they're doing is wrong, it's just the vibe's not there. And I don't really feel like I'm getting my investments worth of what I'm, putting out there for second photographers. I do like that idea of a little bit more condensed,
like a partial
of a
day
schedule.
coverage. I think it's just super
My question is though, do you think that you'd run into issues with people wanting to give you only 4 to 5 hours on a wedding day versus a 10-hour wedding day in terms of them being able to make money for that day?
100%.
That's, you know what I mean?
100%.
I could get that would be tough. I also have heard of photographers who hire non-wedding photographers to be their second photographer. Someone who's great at what they do, but that person is not necessarily like, their investment is in the couple's day, not in their own portfolio, because they're not a wedding photographer. So they don't give a shit. And I sit there and I go, I would pay a premium for that.
Yeah.
To know that someone's coming in only shooting for the couple and what the couple needs.
And what you need as the lead photographer.
Yeah, and then just handing me over both cards at the end of the night and calling it a day. That would be lovely. Or being able to hand off my equipment. Like, I know I want to shoot on my R6s, but I would love if someone could shoot on my 5D Mark IV because I love the color, and then maybe shoot some medium format film. Like, being able to hand off my equipment to someone else so they don't have to do their own, and then I just take everything back at the end of the night. And then I was talking to a photographer about that too, and she's like, I would just be so worried that they wouldn't feel comfortable with the equipment and it wouldn't be as seamless as you think.
Hand that shit off. I got you.
I was gonna say, yeah, when you second shoot for me, I'm just starting.
It's different. Yeah, it's different when you know the person and you do feel really comfortable. Like I was at a wedding recently, not shooting or doing anything, but like at a wedding, and I witnessed the second photographer, and I just thought to myself, why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
I just witnessed the second just kind of like sitting, not fluffing dresses, not helping. The lead photographer was fixing the dress every single time, fluffing it out, fixing the hair, fixing the lapels on the jacket. And I'm like, I understand maybe that from somebody else's perspective, a second photography job can be just that, of just shooting photo.
Yeah.
However, I have learned, and what I have loved, and which is why we work so well together, because you're the same exact way, is that like, if I am there, I am going to be putting myself to use. Like, I am going to be as helpful as humanly possible. And I think that reflects not only for the lead photographer, but for the couple to know that, wow, this team really cares about me, and I feel really well taken care of by this team.
Yeah. The way that, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting in front of me, because I'm plenty, I could be mean to you if I wanted to. But when you second shoot for me, there are so many times where I'll be like holding something or I'll grab something and I don't need to ask you.
I'm just like,
I don't even need to ask you to be like, hey, can you hold this for me? You'll just come grab it. Like, cause you know that
second nature.
Yeah. It is insane. Like there are moments where I'm just like, God, I'm so thankful. Not only that this person's in my life, but that we work so well together and she just knows what I need before I even have to ask her. So not trying to like float your boat or anything, but you are very good at what you do. And that's also a big reason that I feel so confident and comfortable with you associate shooting for me, is because I know that my couples are in very good hands, not only in the moment, but like the care that I know you have for their day. And some people definitely see it as a job instead of like, no, this is someone's fucking wedding day.
Yeah. We're very fortunate to like work very similarly and be able to work together in that sense. And also in like a second shooting setting too, is like sometimes I do feel like there are second shooters who will like try to step on your toes a little bit or like get in, like get in front. And I'm like, I can't fathom doing that to somebody.
They'll be like, don't you think you should angle them like this? And I'm like, get the fuck out of my face before I actually scream at you in front of this couple.
We'll send you home.
Yeah, the only thing that's keeping me from yelling at you is the fact that we are in front of
what?
I know.
Yeah, and I can't fathom that.
I feel like there's not necessarily malicious intent, but it doesn't
It's
come
lack
off
of common
great.
sense though. And that's another thing. It's like you have to have the common sense.
Yeah. And I remember a friend of mine always used to say at my corporate job, they'd be like, fix your face. Like you look so upset right now. And I struggle with that. And I'm working on it with wedding days. If I had a second photographer who's like, don't you think that like she should move her bouquet down a little bit? I'll literally, and I in my head, I'm like, don't. But I'll be like, no, she's fine. But like my eyes say, I'm going to kill you. Like, why are you saying this out loud?
No, we're good.
Yeah. You know why the couple booked with me and not you is because they love my work and they trust me. And that's a big thing where I just go like, people can be like, oh, well, I don't really shoot like Meg or la 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 la. Okay, well, I work 40 weddings a year. I'm not like duping these couples. I'm good at what I do. Yeah. Every day there are moments where I go, God damn it, I wish I was better at this, or you have the imposter syndrome. But I always have to remind myself, like, no, you are very good at what you do. So I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. Anyways, let me not just like go on a tyrant.
We're just about to pop off real quick. Right? Just bear with us.
It's 8:39 in the morning. My energy is coming through. Regardless, guys, thank you so much for sharing your hump day with us. Don't forget to subscribe, review the pod wherever you listen. So episodes drop every Wednesday and Friday. We're on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
And make sure you follow along with us on Instagram and all social media platforms, but Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast. The link to submit your stories, grievances, hot takes, anything that you got for us is in our bio, and everything is anonymous, so nobody will even know that it's you that submitted it.
Yeah. Other than that, we'll see you on Friday.
Bye. Bye.